So here we are with our brand new digital camera. We just got it wherever we bought it. We got our brand new flash. We're ready to go. We're ready to go shoot wedding photographs. Well, so many photographers just got the flash parked on top of their camera and it's pointing straight ahead. It's on maybe P for professional or whatever it happens to be. But what I want to talk about are really kind of the least, I'd say the least attractive light that you can put on your subject would really be from this little bitty 1-inch by 2-inch light source hitting your subjects. So let's take one photograph of Sasha here, and let's just take a look at the lighting characteristics of her face just with the single on-camera flash. Here we go. And now when I look at this photograph right here, what I'm seeing is because of this small light source means one thing. It means increased specularity onto the scene. So when I'm looking at her photograph right here, and she's been through makeup and everything else, but we're still picking up a little bit of that specularity because of this really, really small light source. So I'm seeing some specularity right under her eye. I'm seeing some specularity up on her forehead and so forth, but it's because of this really, really small light source. So we can see that with the flash going directly into the subject, this little small 1-inch by 2-inch light source is really creating a very, very specular light. So what can we do to improve that? Well, one thing, many photographers think that one thing that improves it is just bouncing it off the ceiling, just by taking their flash and pointing it so it hits maybe we got a fairly low ceiling here in our church today. So let's take a look at what bouncing it off the ceiling does. Does it really improve the lighting or not? You know, people think that, well, it's off the ceiling, it's got to be a whole lot softer than it is coming out of the direct flash. Well, let's take one bounced off the ceiling and let's take a look what that looks like. Okay, Sasha, great. Here we go. Chin down just a fraction. Good, good, good. Now, did we get a prettier light or not? I don't think so. Because now when we take our flash source and we bounce it off of the ceiling over here, granted, the light goes out of the flash head and it spreads over the ceiling, super duper wide area, depending on how high the ceiling is away from us. Well, what other situations have we encountered in our own lives where we have a lot of overhead light coming in? Well, I think of just working at an office someplace. It's what I call office lighting. And if you look at somebody working in an office and you look at their expression, you look at their faces, most people have these dark raccooned eyes. And even if we look at our photograph right here of Sasha, as I look closely here, we have our beautiful bride here, and although we have a little bit reduced specularity here, what we do have is we have what we call the raccooned eye sockets. And those raccooned eye sockets are no way to flatter our bride. It's just putting one of the prettiest features of her face, her beautiful eyes, into the shadows, and it just doesn't look very good at all. So anyway, I think this is probably one of the least attractive ways, or the least attractive lighting patterns to put on our subject. So I would highly encourage you not to be bouncing off the ceiling if you're trying to get a pretty photograph of your bride, particularly in a church situation like this. Well, what would be a plan B then? Is there any way we can still get the benefit of the soft lighting illuminating our bride, but maybe pop open those eye sockets just a little bit more? Well, I think there is, and most of our flashes are equipped with them. We got our little fill flap right here that will still bounce the light up to the ceiling, but a little bit of it's going to hit our little fill flap right here and punch a little bit more light right into our bride's face. But now think about it just 1 second. What's this going to do? Remember our very small light source that we had right here? Well, what we're going to have here is, again, a very small light source. Granted, we have soft shadows coming in from the ceiling, and as we've just said, not very flattering shadows, but at least soft shadows. But now if I can pop up the eye sockets a bit here, I'm probably going to compromise with a bit more specularity coming onto my scene, onto my subject here. But let's see if it pops it up, if it's better than our second part that we just worked on. So let's go ahead and take another quick photograph of Sasha. There we go. And now, here we go again. We've got the eye sockets lit up. They look very nice this time. But now guess what's back again? Well, if you look at my viewfinder and look at our image, we're seeing that shine under her left eye again. We're also seeing a little bit of shine on the forehead again. And, well, there we go again. Where's that shine coming from? It's because of this small light source, this little bitty fill flap that's actually kind of brought our specularity back onto the scene again. So granted, it's a little bit better, but it's still not the best as it can be. So we've moved through 3 different positionings of our flash, from the on-camera direct flash to the office lighting with our flash bounced off to the ceiling. with our little bit of fill flap coming in here, just opening up the eye sockets just a bit. All right, is there anything we can maybe improve upon just a bit? Well, you know what, there's all kinds of these flash contraptions that we can put on our flashes, and my gosh, there's a zillion of them out there. And I think they do soften the light just a bit. So anyways, as a matter of fact, I have one right here in my hands. And actually, it's a pretty easy thing we put together. It's homemade. It cost me about $1, but it still accomplishes what a lot of the other ones do as well, which is going to be softening the light. So let me go ahead and just attach it to the flash. I got Velcro on the side of the camera right here, another piece of Velcro right here, and obviously the 2 pieces of Velcro on this thing right here. So I'm going to actually attach it at just a slight angle forward, and this one here, just a slight angle forward right here. And now when you see it, it's kind of cool, because now I'm going to create a much bigger surface area of light than I had with that little fill flap. That should help us out just a little bit more. So let's go ahead. Let me just take a flash right here of my audience. Everybody smiling out there? Here we go. Okay, and did you see how this whole thing lit up? Well, much broader light source than what we had with our on-camera fill flap. So let's see how this affects our bride when we take our photograph with this here. All right, Sasha, one more time here. You're looking great. Chin up just a fraction for me. Chin up just a bit. Good, 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 good. All righty, good, good, good. And we take a look at that one. And now when we look at our image again, it's interesting how that specularity that we were talking about right under her cheek and on her forehead has been reduced just a bit because of the larger light source. Well, there's kind of a lighting rule here. And the lighting rule is the larger the light source relative to the subject, the softer the specularity is going to be, or the softer the specular highlights are going to be. Another way of saying that is the specular highlights come closer to the diffuse highlights on the scene, so you don't see them quite as much. So the larger the light source, we should be able to reduce the specularity even more. Now, again, this is just something we kind of put together. It does fill the bill. I don't know if I'd be running around a wedding reception with all this stuff on my camera, but photographers around the world have all kinds of things on their cameras, so maybe I would in a given situation. As I said, it only cost me $1 to make in the hotel room while we're down here in Tampa, but it does give us a fairly pretty non-directional light. Well, we're talking about non-directional light, and since I've already made the point of going even, larger seems to be better, what happens when we go even larger still? I'm going to have Erin stand in, and I have a 36-inch white reflector, and what I'm going to have her do is actually take this off, and I'm going to let her kind of hold that above the flash, pretty far above the flash, so that hopefully my flash will illuminate most of the area of my 36-inch reflector. Now, one thing I'm going to do to improve the efficiency of the flash spread here is I'm going to not use this, but I am going to use this right here, which is my wide-angle diffuser. So that's going to let the light come out at even a greater angle. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we do this. All right, now when we look at our image we've just taken, we can see that the specularity is reduced even more. Why? Because we had a larger light source that we were illuminating our bride with here. So again, it's that same rule. The broader the light source relative to our subject, that's going to reduce our specularity. It actually brings it more in line, as I said before, with our diffuse highlights. But in any event, I think it takes the shine off of our subject is primarily what I'm trying to say here. But as we look through all of these images that we've just produced with the on-camera flash going straight ahead, the on-camera flash bouncing into the ceiling, the on-camera flash bouncing into the ceiling with the fill flap, the on-camera flash with our light modifier attached, or the on-camera flash, which even with a very, very broad light source, you know what? The same thing is true in each and every one of those instances. And what's that? It's a non-directional flash. It ain't a pretty light. You know what? We have to have light, have direction to make it flatter the people that we're photographing. We have to create a highlight next to a shadow. And when we have a highlight next to a shadow, we have detail, depth, dimension, and added color saturation. And it's only then does our photography really start differentiating itself from the masses out there.